Good morning. This week's a little bit of a, I'm not going to call it a week off by any means because you've got some homework to do. I don't think you have a quiz due this week, so lucky you guys. Let's come down and check. Here we are. Look at that. But I've got 3 attachments here that's going to explore some of the stuff we've been working on. I really think that understanding how to do these, present values, future values, payments, rates, those types of things are very, very important. And so that's why we spend a little extra time on this. That's why I've created a few that happen on an annual basis, like if you made an annual contribution or something like that. But what if you made a monthly contribution? Took out things in a monthly fashion. If you were making a monthly payment, you're trying to calculate that. And so we're going to look at a few of those things and do it kind of different. And I got a couple different things for you to look at and things to consider. That some of these I hope are helpful on a special basis, and others are things that you look at, honestly in a regular business type of an environment, right? My computer's going to be slow again here, so while everything kind of takes place, we'll take a quick look again at the finding a ticker symbol too, because that should be do this for your project. 2, come on baby, let's work here. Oh golly, it's just like slow. There it is. It's hiding on me. It's bouncing all over. Okay, come on. Yep, come on. I can't get my cursor, my little arrow down there, I can't get it to land on the word that I want. It's moving, about 15 seconds or so after I actually move my mouse, so it's just a little bit frustrating, and I tell jokes, but most of the jokes I know aren't suitable for a college student audience, let's put it that way. Oh, there we go. Now it just completely disappears. Oh, click on it while I over the top of it. Maybe I can get her working here. We'll see. So I created some problems anyhow that have a variety of terms and things like that, so that we can take a look at that and try to figure out how to make those things work. So I'm going to try to pause this while I get some things working, maybe. Okay, hopefully we can kind of go now. We'll see. The first one is called just some easy problems, right? And it's there on the home page for the class for D2L. And so you click on that and you'll open these things up, and away you'll go. And it's just got some different payments and stuff. And so we're going to take a look at it because it's got different, whether it's monthly or quarterly in one case. So let's go take a look, because what we've done so far is annual. So what I'd like you to do probably, and you could do these certainly if you want to use your calculator, you could do these on Word doc, you could just fill it in there, but if you want to, certainly you could open this up and we could change our name down here to easy problems. Okay. And I might just go, number 1 is I got a purchase price. What I'm going to do is I'm going to set this up. I hope you guys can still see that, so that I can do it like this, hopefully. So number one, and my purchase price, okay, keep in mind that that's just going to be my present value, right? And it tells me that my purchase price is $25,000, my number of months is 72, and my interest rate is 6%. And so I just set that up and call my purchase price my present value, 25,000. My number of months is my number of periods, right? And that's 72. It would also be 6 years, right? Okay, let's go with 72 though. And then I have to find what my interest rate is 6%. Okay, so my rate is 6%, 0.06. Okay, and then I just have to solve, and in this case I'm going to solve for payment. Okay, in this case I'm going to solve for payment. So I'm going to change it, make it a little different. I can't afford a $25,000 car anyhow, so I'll go with $15,000 used car that I can only finance for 48 months. My banker doesn't like me, probably going to charge me about 7.5% interest, right? Okay, so what I'm solving for here then is just payment. And I can come up to my handy dandy little FX button there and bring this up. And I don't know that we did payment before, and so I'm going to come to my financial, and it is under PMT, so I can scroll down and find that PMT. There it is. Calculates the payment for a loan based on constant payments and a constant interest rate. Wonderful. My rate, well, it's 7.5%, but wait a minute. My rate is 7.5% per year. What's that going to be per month? It's not 7.5%. It's going to be 7.5% divided by 12. And so I can put that in just like this. My rates, and I click on my rate at 7.5%, but I can just click my divided. I can put a little formula actually right up in here. So I've got my cell C3 divided by 12 is going to give me a rate of 0.00625. or 0.625 or 5/8% per month, right? Cool. Okay, my number of periods, I've already got it broken down into the months. If this was yours, if this was 4 years but monthly payments, because you guys will do that, I could put, again, I could do this and times 4, and that would be okay. Okay, my present value I have, and that doesn't change. And I click OK. And it gives me my answer in a negative format, and that's all right, okay? Because oftentimes we entered those payments right as negatives when we were doing trying to calculate rate or something else like that, or present value or future value. And so a negative, in fact, is a proper way, because that's what's going to be leaving my pocket. That's what I'm going to have to pay, okay, each month for a $15,000 car loan for 48 months at 7.5% interest. Okay. Let's go take a look at the next one, if it'll let me here. Maybe it will. And then again, maybe it won't. There we go. So a car loan 2, oh, look at that. I almost did it for you. Your guys' rate's 8%, so it's a little bit different, okay? So car loans 1 and 2 are pretty much the same. I don't think I need to get into that, but let's take a look at number 3, because that does change then, right? But it's all the same. I still have the same information, right? I still have the same present value. In fact, I could just come up here and I could copy this and paste it right here. Okay, so I don't have to retype it. But my purchase price is $47,000. Now I've got 6-year loan with quarterly payments. Ooh, okay. So let's do 47,000. Right, 6 years. I'll just leave it at that. That's fine. And my rate is 4.8%. Okay, So 0.048 is how I do 4.8%, right? And I could come up and hit my percent and make sure that that's how it shows up, right? I could have done the same up here. There we go. Okay, and now I'm just calculating the payment again, but I'm going to change my number so that I don't give this away. Again, there's no way I could afford a $47,000. I could maybe $28,000 or something. I could get my wife a job too or something, and I'll probably only get 5 years, and my interest rate on something like that, again, it'd probably be about 6% or better. Okay. And now I'm going to hit my payment. Okay. I can go to my most recently used because it should be at the top now, and it is payment. So my rate, but again, that's an annual rate, and I'm going to make quarterly payments. I'm going to make quarterly payments on this one. Okay. And so if this is my annual rate, what's my quarterly rate going to be? Well, I'm going to divide it just by 4, right? Okay, my number of periods, and this is kind of what I was talking about a little bit on the last one, it's 5 years. Okay, we can't forget these things, but it's 5 years, but I'm going to make payments 4 times a year, right? Quarterly payments, so I make that times 4, and that would be 20 payments, right? Sure would. Okay, and my present value is the 28,000. Okay. And so I click on OK, and I look at that, and I say, yeah, does that look like a correct answer? And well, what would that be per year? About $6,400 per year for 5 years. It'd be about 32 grand or something. So 3,000 or 4,000 in interest. Yeah, that looks about right. Okay, so I like to do that math kind of in my head. It gives me a pretty good idea of if I'm on the right track, and it looks like I sure am. So, okay. Well, then we come to real estate loan number 1, and this is problem 4 or 5. I think it's problem 4, so we'll come down in 4, and it's a real estate loan. But oops, guess what? I think we set it up just exactly like we do the other loans. We've got a purchase price, monthly payments of a 30-year term, and I tell you to look up the interest rate. Ooh, okay. So I've got this, and I can just copy then, and I can paste this down here. And my loan was $200,000, right? My number of periods, I said, was 30 years, so I'll put that in. Okay. If you want to, some of these it's real simple, right? If you want to just do that math in your head and say it's going to be 360 months, you sure can. Okay, you sure can. So it's however you want to do that. It's fine. Okay. Uh-oh. Okay, and my rate, I say look it up. Ooh, you got to look up then. What's the rates for mortgages? Okay, you know, go to Google, go to Bing, go to one of those, and type in, okay, 30-year mortgage rate. 30-year mortgage rates. Okay. I think one of the better sites is actually bankrate.com. You can probably go to that. You might have to type in your zip code, okay, and they're going to be pretty close. So I'm not going to hold you to whatever you come up with. These are all advertising up here. So Bankrate's not a bad one. I don't think that they have any ties to other banks or corporations or anything like that, and so I think they just give you kind of a cross section. I can't say that for sure, but I think that that's right. So purchase or refinance, it's probably not going to matter, right? 200,000, yeah, we'll say 20% down. Yeah, it's not in Los Angeles, California, though. I'm going to put Havre. Yeah, there we go, Havre, Montana. 0 points, credit score, yeah, you got to put in some stuff, so 740 plus is fine. We'll say 0 points. That means that I'm not buying the interest rate down. You can actually pay points and buy an interest rate down if you want to. Here's national averages, and even that's probably okay. 30-year fixed rate mortgage, 3.93. Last week it was 3.99. Yeah, that's fine. Okay. If I want to see a little bit more precisely what it might be here in Havre, ooh, here's one I get for $375. So you can see, you know, even doing this, we're going to get some different rates, right? I mean, look at that. I'm getting them kind of all over the place there, and it's not that much different, but from about a little bit below 4%, actually 3 3/4, that's not too bad, up to, okay, nope, it even tells me about what my payment's going to be, but that's not going to work. You guys are going to have to show me your work. So, okay, so my rate, you know, is somewhere around 4%. So you guys look it up though, even though I just kind of gave it to you. But it might change. You know, by the time you do your homework, it might change because those things change daily. So 0.03875. Cool. I'm going to change it. I'm going to do a 20-year mortgage, and I can't afford a $200,000 house, so maybe a $125,000 house if I'm lucky. Okay, I'm going to calculate my payment. Rate, boom. Oh, but my payments are monthly, so I need to divide that by 12. My number of periods, 20, but my payments are monthly, so I need to multiply that one by 12. Okay, and my present value is the $125,000. So my payment's going to be $749.27 per month for a $125,000 mortgage. Okay. Let's see what else we got on here. Real estate. Oh, now we got a farm loan. Okay, but it's annual payments. And so that's I think problem number 5. And again, we can copy and paste because it's the same information. All right, and it's $1 million. And then my number of periods are 25 annual with a rate of 3 3/4. So 25 and 3.0375. And in this case, it's pretty straightforward, right? It's just annual payment, so I don't have to multiply by 12 and I don't have to divide by 12. I can simply just go ahead and put in those numbers and calculate my payment. I don't think I need to show you guys how to do that, so I'm going to move on so we can get to some other things. And same thing here, you know, student loan, just doing a little bit different, but if you got $12,246 and 10 years of monthly payments and your APR means annual percentage rate, so that tells you here you're making monthly payments, but you've got an annual rate. You're going to have to convert your rate, right? 10 years, you can do that math in your head if you want to, 120 months, right? And your APR then is going to be that divided by 12 to get a monthly rate, a monthly interest rate. Okay, so that'll kind of do it for the easy problem. So let me shut that down and then we'll go on to number 2. Okay, maybe I'll shut this down. We'll see here. And maybe I can also create the other one, and I can't remember if it's Oli and Lena or if it's the supplemental. Okay, hopefully we'll figure out which one's next. I'll just do the one that's next. We'll do the supplemental ones next, hopefully, and give you an idea of how to do those. It's basically some similar problems, and again, we just got some differing terms and those types of things, and so if it'll let me do it. There we go. Okay, we'll make it bigger, hopefully. And we'll change the name down here to supplemental. Hopefully I spelled that right. And let's go take a look at what those look like. Now, this is in a Word doc. Okay, but you might want to do this in Excel. I would. Okay, and so what you can do is come up here and come to where it says select and hit select all, and then right click and click your copy, left click on the copy, and then come over here, and I usually like to leave a line or two. I can right click again, and I can, if I come to the second one, that means that it's going to match my destination format or the Excel format, and that's what I want, so I'll click on that. Something goofed up there, right? Well, usually when I see those, it's just simply that my column's not wide enough. So I can widen the column a little bit. There it is. So I brought it over. My answers, yeah, some of these aren't wide enough either, so I may want to widen these a little bit. Okay. Holy cow. Definitely not wide enough, some of them. Man, oh man. Okay. Guess I should have abbreviated. I'll make this back a little bit smaller. I do have it pretty good sized, so. Okay. So I tell you right up here, I say, well, this is what we're going to find. First, we're going to find payments. Okay. And maybe I should have highlighted some of these, but we'll find payments first. Okay, so all these are going to be payments. That's what we're going to solve for right here. These are payments, and so you can come and this is just like what we did in the last exercise. And in this case, it's lined up horizontally instead of vertically. I guess that's the only difference. But you can sure come up. You can hit the payment. I might even do one of these for you just to be nice, right? And I've already done some of the work for you here. You got to pay attention to my headings, because here I've got $10,000. I've already got the number of months. That's the number of periods. My interest rate per year, I've got NA, and I've got interest per month, which I have calculated for you, meaning that you don't have to divide this by 12 or anything. So all I have to do is put in my rate. It's already done for me. Put in my number of periods and put in my present value, right? I should have my answer. Okay. Now when you come down to these ones, I do have number of years. I don't have the number of months. And I've got interest per year. So this means that it's annual payments, right? So these ones are annual payments instead of monthly payments. And so you don't have to convert this to months, and you don't have to convert this to months, so you just use the actual numbers there again. Okay, and come up and you can just put your answers right in here and highlight those. Then my next set of values is going to be, I'm calculating present values of some things in here, right? Okay, and I got a variety of things. What I'm saying here is that if I were to take a look at receiving, if I were going to receive $100 per month, maybe I sold something on a contract, or maybe I won a lottery or something, and they said they would pay me $100 per month. Okay, but I want to know, what's the present value of that? Okay, what's the present value of that? You could also look at it this way: if you could afford to pay $100 a month, people would come in often about their house loan and or their car loan, and this next one will be an example of that. But if I could afford to pay $100 a month, what could I afford for a house? That would be kind of the same thing that we're looking at here. Okay, and so as soon as my cursor unlocks, I'll try to go and show you these things. Okay. And we've done some present value ones, so you just click here. And again, I have already, in this case, right, I've taken the $100, I've taken the number of months, and I've got the interest, and so you just have to come up and find the present value formula, hopefully. Okay. PV, it's in my most recently used because I've been doing a lot of these. And you click OK, and there's your stuff, right? Okay, I've already converted the interest because that says interest per month, right? And 360 months, so that's the number of months, and $100 per month What's that going to be worth on a present value basis? Okay, here, one hint. Okay, in this case, your payment probably should be entered as a negative number. Right, so my payment's going to be a negative that. Okay, and the other ones you plug them in and you should come up with the answer. Okay, same thing here. You know, okay, if I could afford this is basically what this is saying when we're doing a present value. If I could afford to pay $500, and I was going to do it for 48 months because that's all the longer I wanted to, and I was going to pay 0.5% per month. I've already done that for you. Okay, then how much car, say, could I afford? That's, by the way, that's 6% per year, right? If it's 0.5% per month. So a person might ask that question. You know, how much car could I afford is basically what you'd be finding there. Okay. Then, okay, we are going to find out what's the present value of a single number in the future. Okay. So if I were going to receive $10,000 in 10 years at 7% interest, what's that worth today? Well, it's something less than 10,000. Okay, it's got to be significantly less than 10,000, right? Because at 7%, you know, whatever I would receive today would add up, or it would increase in value over the years, right, to get to that 10,000. So this number is going to have to be significantly less than $10,000, right? And I do the same thing then for the 25,000. Okay. Then the bottom one, ooh, this one gets to be a little bit different. What if I'm going to receive $50,000 in 60 months or 5 years? Okay. And my monthly interest rate is 0.25%, which is 3% per year, right? Okay, so this one then, well, what happens there? Well, once again, I'm solving for present value. You know, if I click on that and I come up and I click on my present value, can I put in both a rate? Yes, my rate there, and that's a monthly rate. That's fine. My number of periods is 60 months, so I don't have to convert either of those. My payment, now this is one case where it definitely needs to be precise. So you definitely need to enter this one in as a negative, but I need to enter my future value in as a positive number. Okay, and then that should get me to the number. So if I was to receive $1,000 a month and then $50,000 at the end of 5 years, what's that worth on a present value basis? Well, oh gosh, it'd be you know, the total payments would be $110,000, but that's what it would be in 5 years, right? That's what it would add up to over 5 years. So it's going to be something less than that, the present value then. Okay. Okay. So then we go down and we start calculating future values. Now, future values, I always love to do future values. And why do I like to do that? Because I like people to analyze and say, what if I go to work? Should I sign up for the 401k plan where, you know, the company's going to match and I'm going to put in a little bit of money, and I want to know what that's going to be worth when I retire? This is how you do that. Okay, so this is saying if I were to make payments of $200 a month into my 401k, which is all tax deferred, by the way, and I can earn 6%. Okay, and in this case I do it for 30 years. So let's say I'm brain dead and I don't start until I'm 35, you know, and I do it till I'm 65. You should start when you're 15. I need to talk to my son about that, right? And so you should start young and plug this stuff in, 6% or 5% or 0.5% per month, right? That's probably low compared to returns on the S&P and whatnot. So again, you're coming in, and then we're just calculating the future value. And I don't know that we've done any of these. I don't remember, but it's FV. I think we did do some future values, right? Okay, I've got payment, enter as a negative. Okay, I've got my number of periods, and I've got my interest per month, which I've already calculated for you, and these are in the number of months. Okay, so should be able to do it. I think we did some of these where we had a present value that was a fixed number, and what would that be worth? Well, same thing here. We're saying, well, what if Uncle Johnny dies and leaves me $5,000, and I put it in to an account for 40 years and I earn 4%? What's that going to be worth then? So if I was 25 and I put this away, You know, maybe I got a graduation present. Okay, if you're smart, you'll put it away for your retirement, put it in a tax-deferred account, or a tax-free account like a Roth IRA, possibly, depending on your current tax bracket. And what's that going to be worth then? Okay, $25,000 just in 5 years at 9%. Or, and then this is similar, right? I've got payments of $2,000. Okay. Ooh, this one's a little bit different, because should I put both of these in as negative numbers? It's 10 years at 7.5% interest. You know what? Let's do another example. Let's say we had $500 a month and $5,000. Okay, and for 5 years at 6% interest. I got to check this one out myself. Okay, well, what do I think it's going to be for 5 years? So $500 a month is going to be, I'll be putting in, let's see, 6, so that'd be $30,000, right? Because 500 per month would be 6,000 per year. Okay, so I'll be putting in 30, and I've got 5,000 that's in there now. Now this is the opposite of the present value. This is going to keep accumulating. Okay, of course this I need to. I put this in as an annual, but I'm going to be doing this in monthly payments. Okay, so I should have that over here, right? 60 months, I'm sorry. And, oh, that's interesting. No, here's what I got. I'm sorry. I'm going to delete that, because the way I did this one, I'm sorry, you're going to make a $2,000 per year payment. Let's back up, because I want to do one that's similar to you guys, so I apologize for that. I wasn't thinking. So I'll make $500 per year, plus I'm putting in $5,000 now. So my $500 per year, back up the train a little bit, it's going to be $2,500, right? Plus $5,000. So I would be putting in a total of $7,500, but I'll be earning 6% interest. So my result is going to be higher than $7,500. Okay, so I want to make sure, if I do that math, you know, your guys' is going to be similar. You're going to be putting in 20,000 plus 10,000 originally, so 30,000, but 7.5. So you're going to have an answer that's got to be somewhat bigger than 30,000, and that's important, because if we can click on this, because I don't always sometimes know what these negatives, which ones ought to be negatives. I'm usually pretty sure that my payment is a negative, right? My number of periods are fine. Okay, my payment amount, I'm going to enter that in as a negative. And I think I also need to enter my present value as a negative. Okay, and let's see what happens, and then I'll know better. Now I said that 500 a year for 5 years would be 2,500, and then I got 5,000 now, so I'm putting in 7,500, and I would expect my answer to be something bigger than that, because I'm earning interest at 6%, and I come up with an answer of 9,500. So that sounds to me like it's probably right. Okay, and so entering both of these as negatives is the correct way to do it. Okay, then we solve for interest rates. Okay, and rates we did, I don't think there's anything surprising there. You come, you click on your rate, you put in the stuff. Now you've got to remember though, okay, right, that we have these payments is a monthly, so here's what's going to happen. You're going to get a rate here that is a monthly rate. Okay, you're going to get a rate here that's a monthly rate. Okay, that's okay. If you want to convert it, that's fine. So you should put, you know, this is so much per month. And let me give you another example here. If I had a payment of let's see, $300 per month on $15,000, and let's see, and it was for 60 months. I'll just do one for you here. Okay, I'm doing rate. So my number of periods is 60 months. My payment I do need to enter in as a negative. Okay, and my present value then is 15. So this is if you knew what roughly what your balance was and whatnot, you wanted to calculate what your rate is on a loan or something. okay, it comes up with that or that, and that's okay. But I think what you ought to do is come here and then say that that is like per month. I don't know if that'll work out right or not. We'll see. No, that didn't work. So let me just kind of back the train up here. I'll hit my escape. I can just put it here then. Whoa. If I went to this, then my deal just jammed up. There we go. Okay, I could do it that way, right? Or I can get my answer here, and then I can go times 12, and that would be per annum. Okay, then I'd have to get rid of that, of course. So either way you do that, okay, when you do your guys's, just make sure you kind of let me know which one it is, right? Okay, thanks. Then these last two are kind of quirky ones, and I put those in there just to make you think about them. So here we go. It's what you're going to be doing, and we haven't done it yet, is calculating the number of periods. Okay, now payment, this is a monthly payment because I've got a rate. I've already put it in as your rate per month. Okay, now I kind of did something that was kind of mean. Let me change this. And you might want to change this on yours. I won't be able to go in and change that Word doc, but what I should have done is done it like this, per month, okay? Because then I could come in here, okay, and I could take that out like that, okay? Then it should be a little bit easier coming up with the answer. So I've got a payment, I've got a present value, and I've got a rate per month. So my answer is going to come out in months, right? Yeah, and yeah, that's almost 0.5%. Okay, that's almost 0.5%. So that's just about 6% per year. You know, 585 payment. That looks like a house loan to me, and you know, my guess is that's going to be 15 to 30 years, right? Or 180 to 360 months, maybe something like that. And I'm just kind of guessing there a little bit. So you guys will have to do the work to come up. These ones are a little bit quirky. Okay, so spend a little bit of time, work on them, but kind of have an idea. Again, if I'm $285 per month, right, and $7,500 total, you know, what's that going to be? Well, you know, at 0.75, so that's 9% per year. Yeah, you know, I could make a pretty good guess as to the number of months, and that's probably a good way to take a look at doing it. You know, make your guess, and then try to find your answer that comes fairly close to that guess. It wouldn't even be that big of a guess. Okay, then I got Ole and Lena. Let's take a look at Ole and Lena. Okay, and I'm going to change my name down here. I'm just going to do it short, and so I'm not sexist. I'm going to just make it Lena. There we go. Okay, and then we'll see if I can get Ole and Lena to show up here. And Ole and Lena is taking a look at, this is a very real world question, right? And while I put it in the form of houses because I think that's kind of cool, that a lot of you might next few years you might have house loans and stuff, and so you might want to think about, you know, what are you going to do if rates, you know, go way down? Okay, are you going to refinance? And this is a question. Rates are at historical lows right now, so believe me, this is a question that a lot of people have had to think about, okay, over the last couple of years. Sorry, I'm trying to get rid of some of this stuff, and not wanting to do it. But huge question that a lot of people have had to think about over the last couple of years, because people that financed their home, in 2007 or 2006, 2008, guess what? Rates are 2 or 3% lower and have been, right? And this was a problem I had to face. These numbers aren't the same. It was a good problem, right? It's a really good problem because rates had come down. And so I had to take a look at that and say, should I refinance it? Is it worth the cost? Because this is not an unusual figure. I've put in here that there's refinancing costs, and there are, okay? And there is kind of a rule of thumb. They've often said that if you can save about 1.5% or better, on your mortgage loan, that you ought to consider refinancing. But when you do that, you have to take into consideration the remaining term and all kinds of things like that. So I've given you this scenario. I've said Ole and Lena, they own a home. They owe about $100,000 on it. They're currently paying 6%. Interest rates have come down. They can refinance for 4%, which is about what we saw, right? Okay. Will it be in Ole and Lena's best interest to finance? There's 3 potential ways to look at the problem. Okay, and that's because there are 3 different ways to kind of look at it, and it might depend on how you're going to go about how you're going to go about how do I want to say, using the money that you might save, right? You're obviously going to save money on your payment because you're going from a 6% loan to a 4% loan. Okay, so you're going to save money on your payment, but what are you going to do with that money, right? Most of us probably just spend it. Okay, in which case, it still makes sense to refinance because you got a few extra bucks to save, or you get a few extra bucks to spend every month. But what about the $5,000 that you have to pay up front, right? Okay, you have to pay that in terms of closing costs and whatnot, and that's fairly realistic, for a $100,000 loan. It might be $3,000 and it might be $5,000, somewhere in between there. Okay. That's information you get from your bank. So I've put it this way: you can calculate the present value of the payment difference and determine if it exceeds the $5,000, right? So we're gonna have a different payment that we come up with on this. And so, here's Lena, and I'm gonna put in. I've got a present value, and I've got a rate, and I've got the number of periods. Okay. And I'm going to be calculating the payment, right? Well, let's just say mine is $50,000, okay? And my rate is my starting rate. I'll say for mine is a 7.5%, which I enter in as 0.075, okay? And my number of periods on mine, I'm going to say is a 20-year loan, okay, or 240 months. I can put that in like that, or I can say that it's 20 years, either way. Okay, and my proposal in my case would still be a $50,000 loan, and my rate's going to come down to just 5%. We'll say it's still going to be 20 years, right? Okay, so the only thing that's changed there is the rate. So I can do a little calculation here and come up with my payment. Calculate for payment. There it is. My rate. Ooh, but I'm going to do this on a monthly basis, okay? Mortgage payments, house loans are usually monthly, so let's do that. So I get that divided by 12. My number of periods is 20 years, so it's that times 12, okay? And my present value is $50,000. That's going to give me a negative answer, and that's fine. I fully expected that, okay? And I can actually just drag this over because it's going to calculate that then based on that. Great. Okay. So now I know what my difference is. Okay. My difference looks like it's about $72, something like that. But of course I'll calculate that and say that this is equal to this minus this. I'm subtracting a negative. I hope that works out right. $72.82, and that's about what I figured, right? So that's my payment difference. Well, okay, but I got to pay $5,000 to get that, and one of the ways that you'd look at it is say, well, when's your cost recovery? Well, it's $72 a month. That's $840 a year. So it's going to take me 6 years, roughly, just off the top of my head. It's going to take me about 6 years to get my $5,000 back. Okay, is that a good deal? Well, we'll see. Okay, we'll see. If my earning rate, so let's come down here and say that now I've got a rate, because I've got a discount rate of 0.02%, okay, or 2%, I'm sorry, which is 0.02, okay, and I've still got my number of periods is 20 years, okay, but this is monthly, so I'll have to make that conversion, okay, and I've got a payment there, and what I'm going to be solving for here is my present value. So I can now solve for this, and I can come up and I can say, okay, I'm solving for my present value, and you know, my rate is this, but that's an annual rate. I got to divide that by 12 to get my monthly rate. My number of periods, and again, that's an annual, so I got to multiply by 12. And my payment, which I would normally enter as a negative, but it's already a negative here. Okay. So I can just plug that in and say okay. Ooh. So my present value of that $72.82 that I'm going to save for the next 20 years, basically the next 240 months, my present value, that's $14,400. So that exceeds the $5,000 that I would pay in closing costs. I think that's a pretty good deal. It exceeds it substantially. You know, if it exceeded it by $200-300, I might scratch my head and say, yeah, is it worth the time and effort, right? But that's pretty substantial. I think I'm going to go for that. Okay, so how's the other way to calculate it? Well, let's take a look at that. Hopefully we'll take a look at the problem. I kind of explained to you the different ways that I want you to look at it. And the other way I said was, well, what would happen, okay, if I saved that $72.82, okay, and I saved that for the next 20 years, but if I hadn't refinanced that my mortgage loan, I'd still have that $5,000. So and doing that, I could just put that $5,000 into an account and earn 2%, right? And so really I'm either earning the 2% on a monthly basis where I'm going to make a monthly contribution, or I've got a $5,000 present value, right, that I'm going to invest for 20 years at 2%. Okay? So I've got, some of the numbers here. I've got, let's see, rate and my number of periods. And I've got, on one case, I've got a present value. On my other case, I've got my payment up here. All right, so my rate is 0.02, or 2%. We'll change that. Okay, my number of periods again is 20 years, and my present value on the one hand was $5,000. And so I'm going to calculate what my future value is of that. Right? If I took that $5,000 and just invested it instead of refinancing my house. Okay, so my rate's that, but again, I got to divide that by 12. I'm going to do this on a monthly basis. I'm going to compound it monthly. All that we're doing is compounding it monthly, and the only reason I'm doing that is because I'm going to be making these as monthly payments, and so it's going to be compounding monthly. So I kind of want to compare apples to apples. My number of periods will be 20 years, or times 12, 240 months. I don't have a payment in this case, but I do have a present value, and I'm going to enter this in as a negative. Okay. So that would accumulate to $7,456.64. Okay. On the other hand, I can calculate my future value here using this as a payment. So let's take a peek and see what happens there. I say right in the problem, I don't think you're going to come up with a different result. I just want you to come up with the number, right? So you'll know how to compare it. Again, I've got my 2% is my rate. Divide that by 12 though, because I'm going to be making monthly payments. My 20, and I can divide that, or times 12, I'm sorry. So I got 240. And I've got a payment then, and it'll be a negative number, already is. Okay, so that's $21,500. So once again, it makes a lot of sense, right? My monthly savings of $72.82 is going to add up to significantly more than if I just invested that $5,000 at this point in time. Okay. Okay. So again, it confirms in my case the 50,000 example that I'm using here. It absolutely confirms that I would want to refinance my home. Okay. Lastly, then, I put on here and I says, well, what would happen if you went, maybe you've got plenty of equity in your house, and so you told the lender, hey, I just want to go ahead and add the $5,000 to my loan amount. So now I'm comparing a loan of, in your guys' case, $100,000 and $105,000, but in my case, then it would be right $50,000 and $55,000, and so I can really, I'm going to use the same deal up here. You know what? Here, let's make this really easy. Let's change this. All right, let's copy all of this. I'll show you how easy this is. And we'll just paste this bugger right down here. But I said, what if I change this one then? Because that's what I'd be doing, is adding the 5,000. So I can just change this amount to 55,000. And I'm done. Okay, I'm still going to save roughly $40 a month. Okay, so if I completely finance the $5,000 in my example, anyhow, of that, I'm still going to save $40 a month. Okay, so again, it simply confirms what I've come up with here. And so I know what the answer is, right? I want you guys to show me, the confirmation of how that's going to work. So please show me your work in, in a format kind of like this. And you might provide some labels, monthly savings, right? And it'd be the same thing here. This is equal to this minus this one, so that's a monthly savings, and this is present value difference or something like that. Okay, and this is future value difference. Okay, all of them in my case confirmation that it would make a lot of sense to refinance. So okay, I think that's it for the problems. I'm going to just real briefly spend a couple seconds on the next part of your project, which has to do with finding financial information. Okay, we did, and by the way, I had a couple of people that have submitted their businesses, their ticker symbols that they're going to be using. Okay, they were Guess. I'm not asking you to guess. It's a company called Guess, and GoPro. And I think both of those are pretty good choices because they kind of fit my criteria. They're relatively small, which is good. Okay, they've got a very definite focus, right? GoPro only makes cameras. They may expand into some other types of cameras and whatnot that they would use for movements and those types of things. And they probably sell 3 or 4 different types of cameras as it is now, maybe with different megapixels or what have you. But it's still a very focused company, as is Guess, and I think that's important. That's going to make it a little bit easier to analyze. My one I don't want to call it a complaint, but my one concern, I guess, about GoPro might be that they've just gone popular or gone public fairly recently, and so there may be a little less availability of financial information, historical financial information. We'll have all the updated stuff, and that's fine, and I think you'll probably be okay. But for the person that picked GoPro, you might take a look and make sure that you're going to have a few years worth of financial information, so you can go back and tell me some things that are going on. So again, ticker symbol. How do I find the ticker symbol? Well, I found the easiest way is to put the darn thing in here, ticker symbol for, and my computer's locked up again, so I use Bing, but you probably use Google. That's fine. Either one I think is going to work the same. And you plug in, or you guys got smartphones. I watch my little guy. He takes his and he just says, Siri, what's the ticker symbol for? And Siri is pretty good about figuring those things out. always pretty amazed actually at what he can find out. Ticker symbol for Go Pro. Ooh, that is not what I was typing in, so wow. Let's see, let's try again. TICKER, ticker symbol. You can see I did 4. Oh, come on. Come on, computer. Golly. Symbol for Go, and I think it's Go PRO. And it actually gave it to me right there, GPRO, okay? And then I'd go to that Morningstar site that I kind of recommended to you guys and plug it in. Make sure you've got it. Make sure you've got some of the information, okay? And hopefully if I can get this thing working fast enough, I can show you some of those things, okay? I'm going to pause it and just bring up some of that, and then I'll come back. Okay, and briefly, I know I'm about a week ahead of time on this, but give you a little bit of insight into finding financial information, and maybe I'll hit it a little bit more. But you can read on here. You know, this is available on the front page of D2L, finding financial information stuff. And these are some things that I want you to do: is report the sales trend, report the earnings per share for the last 3 years, report the most recent ROE, report the most recent ROA. Okay, then start looking at the annual report. Okay, finding the annual report may be a bit difficult, okay, but you should be able to. Now, I went to Morningstar, I picked a company, I just picked Foot Locker, okay, and so I come here and I kind of look at this, and Morningstar's great. It's just performance, key ratios, financials, ownership, you know. I'm going to find some stuff here that's going to answer some of those questions, right? Now, one of them was ROA, ROE, and how did I phrase the question? Because I want to see. Let me get rid of Oldie and Lena. I said the most recent ROE and most recent ROA. Well, what this is telling me, what TTM means, is trailing 12 months. Okay, and so this is probably through the end of the year. I'm almost sure it is. Okay, so my ROA for Foot Locker for the trailing 12 months is 14. Then you could put TTM in there. That's fine. That's going to be a perfectly good answer, right? My ROE for the trailing 12 months is 19.5. Okay. The reason I say that, different companies have different year ends, right? And so we don't. When I say for the last year, and you might go to January, and most companies end on the normal year, but some companies, their year end is actually February. I know that's an oddball thing, but it kind of works that way. Now, I asked you also then to look at some, provide some other basic financial information. And as I'm scrolling down here, I think all of it I can find right here on this main page, right? If I can get this thing to work and come back. So I got earnings per share trend, and I think I had sales trend. Oh golly, you guys just don't even know how frustrating this is, although I'm sure it's just boring as hell having sales trend and earnings per share trend for the last 3 years. Oh, there's revenue. Revenue is sales, by the way. 1, 2, 3 years, so it's right there. So it's gone from, right, this is what I'd put. You could put all 3 numbers in there. It would make some sense. So these are kind of working backwards. This is the oldest. This is the newest. And earnings per share, it's gone from $1.80 per share, $2.58, to the most recent year, $2.85. That's a pretty nice trend right there. That's not a bad increase. That's a 50% increase in earnings per share over the last couple of years. Dang, that ain't bad at all. Okay, it tells us who some of the competitors are. I don't know if these are the actual right competitors, but you guys will be looking for that later on. That's going to be a part of it. The reason I say Foot Locker sells Nike and Adidas and all those other things, and I don't think they compete in the retail space. Okay, now look at down here. We've got filings. We've got financials, ownership, registration, announcements. We might be able to find some stuff there like an annual report. It's possible. I thought there was one spot here that was actually a little bit more clear on that. So and it's not jumping right out at me. So hang on a second. I'm again going to pause and I'm going to find that so I can take you right to it without wasting your time. Okay, so we saw when we, ticker symbol for GoPro, and that came up, and here it is. It's just GPRO, right? And you can click on that, and that would actually take us to a site, right, that gives us some information. Okay, again, it tells us that it's a NASDAQ stock, and there's the ticker symbol, GPRO. Generally going to be from 1 to 4. Okay, generally, every now and then you'll get a little different ones. So, okay. But it gives us a little bit of information. Not a lot. I don't really like this site, necessarily. And so I come to Foot Locker and your guys' assignment, again, I went through a few of the things there, but then also was to look at the annual statement. And so here's where we come and we see filings. Click on filings over here and wait for a while. And when it comes up, it tells us a couple things, right? It says, look at there, quarterly report, quarterly report, quarterly report. Annual report. And I can come over here and I can click on this and it may bring it up even. We'll see. Okay. Now I prefer it in a PDF format. This is good for now. You can probably... we might be able to get this from, I don't know, it's not going to do it in a PDF, but that's fine. For this first assignment, we might find some other ways to get this in a PDF a little bit later. For this first assignment, this is going to be fine. It tells you or second assignment, I'm sorry, it tells you, what do they do, right? Well, here it is. It's the leading global retailer of athletically inspired shoes and apparel operating. Bingo. Okay, I've just answered that. Examine the company's most recent report and tell me what it does in the words of management. It's okay to copy and paste much of this. Just make sure you cite your source. Should be the annual report and add some of your own comments. Right? Okay, so it tells you about where you're going to find that information. There are other sites. There are lots of good financial sites. There's Kiplinger is a very good one. CNBC you can go to and find a lot of this information. Motley Fool, just all kinds of different sites. You're free to roam around or take my advice and go to Morningstar. I like their site. Okay, I find that I can pretty easily find the stuff that I want to find, and so it's